He used to sit down every day and make me go through the pains of perhaps mistakes made, of big denials, of huge, great hurdles in my life in growing up.
Everyone is talking about what Sarah Ferguson just revealed, and it is not what many people expected. For years, royal watchers kept asking the same question: why didn't Prince Philip live with the Queen? The answer stayed hidden behind royal tradition and palace silence for decades. Rumors spread, questions lingered, and very few people seemed to know the full story. Now, Sarah Ferguson has finally spoken out. This is the same woman Prince Philip reportedly never fully forgave. The same woman who was once banned from Sandringham and said to have had a strained relationship with the Duke for years. After staying quiet for so long, she has shared details that are turning heads and raising fresh questions about one of the royal family's biggest mysteries. What she revealed shines a new light on the Wood Farm secret and why Prince Philip chose a very different life away from the spotlight. On the edge of the Sandringham estate sits a modest 5-bedroom farmhouse built from weathered stone. Surrounded by open fields and quiet countryside, Wood Farm was far removed from the grand royal residences most people associate with the monarchy. There were no crowds waiting outside and no constant media attention. It offered something Prince Philip appeared to value deeply: privacy and peace. In August 2017, Prince Philip made a decision that surprised many royal observers. Instead of spending all his time at Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, or Sandringham House, he chose to base much of his life at Wood Farm. After 70 years standing beside one of the most recognized figures in the world, the Duke of Edinburgh stepped away from public duties and embraced a simpler routine. He divided his time between Windsor Castle and Wood Farm, a secluded part of the 600-acre Sandringham estate. The estate also includes Anmar Hall, the country home of Prince William and Kate Middleton. What made this choice so fascinating was that it was not presented as a necessity. It appeared to be deeply personal. Royal author Hugo Vickers wrote in Queen Elizabeth II: A Personal History that Philip was happiest at Wood Farm and had largely settled there. That detail alone has sparked even more curiosity about what was really behind his decision. During those years, Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth spent much of their time living separate daily lives. While the Queen remained focused on her royal responsibilities, Philip filled his days with the hobbies he enjoyed most. He spent time carriage driving, reading and painting, far away from the constant demands that came with royal life. According to royal author Hugo Vickers, the Queen would occasionally travel by train to Norfolk and spend weekends with him at Wood Farm. That detail caught the attention of many royal watchers. Instead of Philip regularly returning to London, it was often the Queen who made the journey to see him. For many people, that was unexpected. Their relationship had always been shaped by their unique positions within the monarchy. She was the sovereign, and he was her consort. Over time, Philip found comfort in a quieter life away from the public duties that had defined so much of his adult life. Sarah Ferguson was among those who understood the appeal of Wood Farm. Having experienced royal life herself, she knew the pressures that came with it. She also understood why someone like Prince Philip would choose a peaceful countryside home over the formality and constant attention of palace living. To many insiders, Wood Farm represented something rare within royal circles, a place where Philip could simply enjoy life on his own terms. The reality is that Philip and the Queen had long been accustomed to spending time apart because of their demanding schedules. Even when they were under the same roof, they reportedly maintained separate bedrooms. This was not viewed as unusual within their social circle and was never considered evidence of problems in their marriage. Instead, Wood Farm reflected a vision that both Philip and the Queen had shared for years. It offered a quieter, more normal way of living, away from ceremony and public expectations. After decades of attending official events and following strict royal protocol, Philip finally had the freedom to enjoy the simple lifestyle he had always appreciated. It is one of the lesser-known royal traditions that continues to surprise many people today. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were widely seen as a happy and devoted couple. Yet one detail about their private life has continued to surprise many people. Reports have long suggested that they slept in separate bedrooms, a practice that was common among many upper-class families. Popular shows like The Crown helped bring attention to this tradition, but for the royal family, it was simply part of their way of life. Rather than sharing every aspect of their daily routines, the Queen and Philip maintained their own personal spaces. In practical terms, this arrangement worked well for them. Their partnership remained strong both publicly and privately, even though their home lives followed separate routines. They had different schedules, separate rooms, and their own household staff. While the Queen spent hours reviewing state papers and carrying out official duties, Philip often devoted his time to reading, painting, and pursuing his personal interests. In private, he called her Lilibet. To the rest of the world, she was the sovereign. That contrast reveals just how unique their relationship was. Philip was one of the very few people who could speak to her with complete familiarity. Yet even within their close bond, certain royal boundaries remained firmly in place. Sarah Ferguson, who joined the royal family through her marriage in 1986, witnessed many of these traditions firsthand. She saw how royal life shaped even the most personal parts of everyday living. The royal family did not operate like most families, and privacy was often considered essential. For Philip, a man known for being direct, independent, and fond of simple pleasures, having his own space was not a rejection of his wife. It was something that helped him feel comfortable and at ease. Throughout their courtship and more than 70 decades of marriage, Prince Philip remained one of the Queen's closest companions and strongest supporters. The Queen once said, "He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has, quite simply, been my strength and stay all these years." Those words reflected a deep and lasting bond. Philip showed that loyalty through decades of steady support, proving that separate bedrooms and time spent at Wood Farm did not mean they had grown apart. In their own unique way, the arrangement between Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip was deeply personal. They appeared so comfortable in their relationship that they did not need to spend every moment together to feel connected. That is one of the details Sarah Ferguson has spoken about openly. From her perspective, their bond was built on trust, respect, and decades of shared experiences, not simply on living under the same roof. For nearly 3 years, Wood Farm served as Prince Philip's main retreat. Away from the formality of palace life, he enjoyed a routine that suited his personality. He drove around the estate in his Land Rover, spent hours painting, read extensively, and occasionally welcomed visits from family members. The Queen would often travel to see him on weekends, and together they maintained a relationship that balanced royal duty with personal independence. Then the pandemic changed everything. As COVID-19 spread across the world, Queen Elizabeth left Buckingham Palace for Windsor Castle and asked Philip to join her there. The couple entered a strict period of isolation that became known within royal circles as HMS Bubble. Access to their section of the castle was heavily restricted, and daily life became far quieter than anyone could have imagined. The royal couple lived in only a small number of rooms within the vast castle, supported by a carefully selected team of staff. Even long-standing royal traditions were put on hold. For the first time in many years, Christmas was spent away from the larger royal family gathering. The restrictions transformed their daily routine and brought them together in a way that had not happened since Philip chose life at Wood Farm. After years of enjoying the freedom and privacy of the Norfolk countryside, Philip was once again spending all of his time within a royal residence. As the months passed, concerns about his health became more frequent. In early 2021, he was admitted to the hospital several times and underwent treatment for a heart condition. Friends and observers also noted signs that age was beginning to take a greater toll on him. On April 9, 2021, Prince Philip passed away at Windsor Castle at the age of 99. His years at Wood Farm remain one of the most talked about chapters of his later life, and Sarah Ferguson has often reflected on why that period meant so much to him and those who knew him best.
Sarah Ferguson understood Wood Farm better than most people. She knew the quiet rhythm of life there, the privacy it offered, and the special place it held in Prince Philip's later years. It was a retreat that meant a great deal to him, and one whose history he wanted preserved and remembered. But to fully understand Sarah Ferguson's perspective on Prince Philip and his decision to live at Wood Farm, it is important to first understand the difficult relationship that existed between them. According to several royal commentators and biographers, Prince Philip's feelings towards Sarah Ferguson were strained for many years. Royal author Jane Dismore claimed that Philip had reservations about Ferguson even before her marriage to Prince Andrew. She stated, "She's the one person that Prince Philip would not have anything to do with. He didn't like Fergie. She knew that she wasn't welcome when Prince Philip was around." Those claims have been echoed by others who have written about the royal family. Commentator Richard Fitzwilliams, citing conversations with royal insiders, suggested that Sarah Ferguson struggled with certain expectations that came with royal life. According to these accounts, tensions grew over time as different views and personalities frequently clashed behind palace walls.
The situation became even more controversial in 1992, when widely publicized photographs of Sarah Ferguson on vacation with her financial advisor, John Bryan, appeared in newspapers around the world. The images generated intense media attention and reportedly caused embarrassment within royal circles. Their publication coincided with a period when Ferguson had been staying near Balmoral, one of the Queen's most cherished residences, making the headlines even more difficult for the family to ignore. One frequently repeated story claims that Prince Philip confronted the situation directly after seeing the newspaper coverage. According to the account, he presented the newspaper to Ferguson, after which discussions reportedly took place about her leaving and returning to London. While versions of the story differ, it has become one of the most talked about moments connected to the family's reaction. Years later, commentators continued to point to the incident as a major turning point in the relationship. Lizzie Cundy claimed, "Well, Prince Philip actually never forgave her for that toe-sucking scandal, and poor Sarah had to come downstairs at breakfast when it was all over the front pages of the paper."
Then another controversy emerged in 2010. Reports surrounding a newspaper sting operation alleged that Sarah Ferguson had offered to help connect individuals with Prince Andrew in exchange for money. The claims generated another wave of negative headlines, and some royal commentators argued that the incident further damaged her standing with Prince Philip. According to several accounts, whatever tensions already existed between them became even more serious after that episode. The publication of those recordings created a major controversy and quickly became front-page news. The fallout was so significant that Sarah Ferguson later appeared on Oprah to address the allegations and explain her side of the story. The incident sparked intense media coverage and added another chapter to her already complicated relationship with the royal family. Royal reporter Richard Mynards claimed after that, Prince Philip decided that she was just out of it. He would never deal with her or attend events with her. The Queen, as a supportive wife, agreed with him, so Sarah Ferguson was effectively out of the picture. While accounts differ depending on the source, many royal commentators have described the period as one of the lowest points in Ferguson's relationship with senior members of the family. Author Sally Bedell Smith has also written about the lasting impact of these controversies on Ferguson's standing within royal circles. Other commentators have similarly suggested that Prince Philip viewed the repeated headlines as damaging to the family's public image. As a result, stories about the distance between Philip and Ferguson continued for years and became a regular topic in royal coverage.
This background gives added meaning to Sarah Ferguson's comments about Prince Philip today. When she discusses him, she is not speaking as a detached observer. She is speaking as someone who experienced years of tension, public scrutiny, and complicated family dynamics. That history makes her perspective especially interesting to royal watchers. Wood Farm also carried a personal significance for Ferguson. In a twist that many royal commentators have pointed out, the same farmhouse that became Prince Philip's peaceful retreat was also connected to some of Ferguson's most difficult years within the royal family. Because of that connection, the property holds very different memories for each of them. Over time, Wood Farm became known in some royal reports as a place where family members could stay while remaining separate from larger royal gatherings. In 1992, after widespread media attention surrounding photographs involving Sarah Ferguson and her financial advisor, John Bryan, reports indicated that she spent Christmas at Wood Farm rather than participating in the main celebrations at Sandringham House. Sarah Ferguson, who was married to Prince Andrew from 1986 until 1996, also spent time at Wood Farm during holiday periods when Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were young. The arrangement allowed her to remain close to her daughters while still keeping some distance from official royal events. That unusual role in royal history would later create an unexpected link between Ferguson and the very place Prince Philip chose as his final home.
The story of Wood Farm carries a striking contrast. For Prince Philip, the farmhouse represented freedom, independence, and a chance to enjoy life away from constant public obligations. After decades of royal duty, it became a place where he could relax and follow his own routine. For Sarah Ferguson, however, Wood Farm was connected to a very different experience. According to many royal accounts, her time there came during a period when she felt increasingly separated from the center of royal family life. The same house became a symbol of two completely different realities. That contrast has only become more remarkable with the passing years. Reports have indicated that Prince Andrew has also spent time at Wood Farm during periods of transition involving other royal properties. As a result, the farmhouse continues to be linked to major chapters in the lives of several members of the royal family. What was once seen as a quiet countryside retreat has become tied to some of the family's most talked about personal stories. For Prince Philip, life at Wood Farm was often described as a choice that brought him peace and satisfaction. For Sarah Ferguson, the property was associated with a much more complicated chapter. Because she experienced that side of the story firsthand, many royal observers believe she has a unique perspective on what Wood Farm truly represented within the royal family.
What makes her comments especially surprising is that they are not focused entirely on resentment. Despite the difficulty she reportedly experienced, Ferguson has also spoken about lessons she learned from Prince Philip over the years. During an appearance on the Life's a Beach podcast, she recalled advice he once gave her about public life. It's interesting. The Duke of Edinburgh used to say, "Remember, Sarah, you've got to be electable but never elected." That really resonates, Ferguson told host Alan Carr. In other interviews, including comments reported by Fox News, Ferguson described Prince Philip as both intimidating and wise. Those remarks reveal a relationship that was far more complicated than simple dislike or conflict. While there were periods of distance between them, she has acknowledged the influence he had on her life. Reports suggest that after her divorce, Ferguson's relationship with some members of the royal family became strained. Even so, she later told Harper's Bazaar that she hoped to maintain positive relationships with her former in-laws. That detail adds another layer to a story filled with disagreements, reconciliation efforts, and lasting family connections. Sarah Ferguson remained close to Queen Elizabeth II for many years and maintained that relationship right up until the monarch's death in September 2022 at the age of 96. Following the Queen's passing, Ferguson shared an emotional tribute that reflected the deep bond they had built over time.
To me, she was the most incredible mother-in-law and friend. I will always be grateful to her for the generosity she showed me in remaining close to me even after my divorce. I will miss her more than words can express. That statement highlighted something many royal watchers often overlooked. While reports frequently focused on Prince Philip's difficult relationship with Ferguson, the Queen's approach appeared very different. According to numerous royal accounts, she never completely severed ties with the Duchess of York. Over the years, she continued to show kindness toward Ferguson and gradually welcomed her back into certain family settings. Those quiet gestures became an important part of their lasting friendship. Several reports have suggested that the Queen maintained contact with Ferguson even during periods when relations with other members of the royal family were more complicated. Ferguson, in turn, frequently spoke with affection and respect about the monarch. Although Ferguson remained supportive of Queen Elizabeth after Prince Philip's death, reports noted that she did not attend Philip's funeral service. Even so, she continued to spend time with the Queen and was often described as a trusted companion during the monarch's later years. In comments reported by Fox News, Ferguson also spoke about caring for the Queen's beloved dogs after her passing. She said, "The corgis are doing wonderfully. They are very good and kind, and they fit in well with my 5 Norfolk Terriers. We now have 7 dogs in the house, and the corgis are a joy." Taken together, Ferguson's recent comments offer another perspective on Prince Philip's decision to live separately from the Queen during his final years. Rather than pointing to problems in their marriage, many royal commentators view the arrangement as a reflection of Philip's independent personality. After decades of public service and royal obligations, he appeared to value privacy, routine, and personal freedom more than ever. The Queen seemed to understand that side of him completely. She respected his preferences and often traveled to spend time with him rather than insisting he return to a more traditional royal lifestyle. Ferguson witnessed that dynamic firsthand. From her perspective, the relationship between Elizabeth and Philip was built on understanding, patience, and mutual respect. Yet even as the Queen's relationship with Ferguson improved over the years, reports suggest that Prince Philip never fully moved past the controversies that had shaped his opinion of her decades earlier. According to reports cited by W magazine, Sarah Ferguson would often visit Queen Elizabeth II at Balmoral in the summer months, even though accounts suggested that Prince Philip generally preferred to keep his distance from her. Those reports highlighted the complicated family dynamics that existed behind palace walls. Ferguson experienced firsthand how relationships within the royal family could influence everything from social gatherings to who was included in certain occasions. Now, with both Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip gone, Ferguson has spoken more openly about that period of royal history. From her perspective, Philip's years at Wood Farm were never the result of a hidden crisis or dramatic royal conflict. Instead, she believes they reflected exactly who he was. He was a man who valued independence, privacy, and a quieter way of life after decades of public service.
Just as importantly, he had a wife who understood him well enough to respect that choice and give him the space he wanted.
For Ferguson, that is the real story behind Wood Farm. Not scandal, not mystery, simply a unique marriage, a strong partnership, and a man determined to live life on his own terms. In many ways, it remains one of the most fascinating and misunderstood chapters in modern royal history. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others who follow the royal family. Also, leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts on Prince Philip's decision to live at Wood Farm. We would love to hear your opinion.